Hey everyone! Welcome to my channel, where we dive into the world of books and novels. If you're new here, pause the video, go to my channel, and watch the first part of Jumana novel so you can understand the story. This is the second part, called Ababil. Akil and Al-Shamali whispered simultaneously. Agree. The sage didn't speak because he was afraid of saying something that might anger the fairy Khizran. But when everyone looked at him, waiting for his decision, he nodded his head, looking at Asif as if to say, agree. The high spirits and great sacrifice shown by his friends were enough to make him take a final decision on the matter. He said, looking at the fairy Khizran, all right, I agree. What is the condition? You'll know shortly. She said this, then struck the ground with her staff 3 times. The wooden floor of the inn's room split open, and out came a short, slender demoness standing on 2 feet, her chest and groin covered with light fabrics that reflected what was behind her. Her appearance was almost human, except her skin had a slight bluish tint, and her ears were slightly longer than those of a normal human. She spoke in a voice resembling the sound of a flute. Has my lady, the minister, summoned me? Khizran pointed her staff at Asif and said, this boy, Rosanna, what about him? He is Asif, son of Jumana, daughter of your master, Jabbar the Emperor. Rosanna knelt on one knee, bowing her head. Your servant, Rosanna, at your service, your highness, Prince Asif. I am one of the warriors of your grandfather, my master, Jabbar the Emperor. The fairy Khizran said, your prince, Asif, wishes to meet his family, but his highness must agree to the condition first, my lady minister. I've already told him, and he has agreed. Excuse me, Rosanna said. I want to hear it from him myself. I agree to the condition, Asif interjected. Do you know what will happen to you if you withdraw from the condition? Yes, I know, he replied. She said, as if wanting to verify herself. And what will happen? Death for me and my friends. A long moment of silence stretched between them, as if the demoness Rosanna wanted to give Asif a chance to withdraw. Then, to buy some time and give him more opportunity to think, she said, I can't tell him the condition, my lady minister. Why not? Khizran asked. That mouse is the reason, she said, pointing at the sage. What about him? Asif asked. He's thinking dirty thoughts about me. The fairy Khizran almost struck him with her staff, but Al-Shamali, Sarabi, and Akil surrounded the sage, ready to take the blow for him. Asif, boasting, lowered her staff with his hand and said, with friends like these, I could conquer the whole world if I wanted. Al-Shamali, addressing the sage, said, could you keep your dirty thoughts away from the demoness Rosanna? Are you jealous already, Al-Shamali? The sage joked. Sarabi slapped him on the face. Oh, wise one, this is no time for jokes. Stupid mouse, said Akil. All right, I'll close my eyes and think of something disgusting to distract myself. He closed his eyes and said, I'll think of a crown. Asif turned towards the demoness and insisted, what is the condition? When she realized he wouldn't back down, she surrendered and said, the condition is that you kill the human who married your mother, Jumana, and then offer his blood to the imperial family. The condition was so harsh that Asif couldn't comprehend it at first, so the fairy Khizran intervened, summarizing, the condition is that you kill your father, Bahar. I can't agree. I can't kill my father. Khizran said, you will die, you and your friends. His left eye turned a dark red, and his claws extended from his fingertips. In an instant, he delivered a fatal blow to her, piercing her body and exiting the other side. But Khizran didn't die. In fact, the blow seemed to have no effect on her. She calmly said, her tone not matching the gravity of the situation. Not everything is solved by fighting, Asif. He withdrew his claws from her body and angrily said, I won't fulfill this condition. You have until sunset, after which you and your friends will die if the condition isn't met. Khizran said this and then disappeared without adding anything else. The northerner interjected, looking towards the demoness Rosanna. Is this the only way to ensure Asif gets the help of the imperial family? No, this is the only way to get them to agree to meet him. Asif asked, what do you mean? I mean that offering your father's blood won't guarantee their approval of your request. Does that mean they might refuse my request? Perhaps, she said. Sarabi wondered, isn't there a way to back out? No, she replied, either fulfill the condition or everyone dies. All right, listen, I'm not ready to die, said the wise one, then added, I agreed to come here with you, Asif, to help you meet Khizran and achieve your revenge, then lift this curse from me. I didn't come here to die in such a cheap way. Sarabi scolded. Wise one, what kind of talk is this? Akil commented, coward. I'm not a coward, but I love life so much that it might make me seem like a coward in your their eyes. Then he turned to Asif and urged him, "Say something, don't stay silent." And when Asif remained silent, the wise one turned to the northerner. "Say something, you sensible one." The northerner whispered, admitting, "I don't want to die before knowing the Lord, this northerner whom I love and trust his mind." Then he added, "And I promise you that if you accompany me to the village of Al-Jassasa, I'll ask Taj to turn you into a girl and marry you. Then we'll search for the Lord together." "Shut up, wise one. I haven't finished speaking yet," said the northerner. "I don't want to die, and I think no one in this room wants to die either. But we all asked Asif to agree to the condition, didn't we, Sarabi? Didn't you ask Asif to agree? And you, Akhlil, didn't you ask him to agree? And I also asked him to agree, and you, wise one, didn't you nod your head asking him to agree?" He muttered in annoyance, "I wish I had been paralyzed before I nodded my head." The northerner continued, "Are we abandoning him after telling him we'd stand by him?" Sarabi said, "No, we won't abandon him." Akhlil said, "No." "Yes," said the wise one, and when they all looked at him with displeasure, he corrected himself. "I mean to say yes, with you all, we won't abandon him." They all approached Asif and told him they wouldn't abandon him and that they'd stand by him in any decision he deemed suitable, and that if he didn't want to proceed with killing his father, they were ready to sacrifice for him. Here, Asif, after witnessing his friend's support, said, "O Demonis, your command, your highness." Razana bowed her head. "I will kill Bahar and offer his blood to the imperial family." Then she extended her hand towards them and said, "Come then, I'll take you to where Bahar resides. Help the prince accomplish the task before sunset." After the Demonis Razana transported them from the inn where they were staying, they suddenly found themselves standing in an inner courtyard of a house whose clay walls exuded remnants of a bygone jasmine scent. Asif looked around with deep emotion, as if the place had gripped his heart with the claws of nostalgia. "This is the house where I lived with my mother. Why did you bring us here?" "Because your father now resides here, your highness." "Bahar lives here?" he asked in astonishment. "And where is he now?" She pointed to the room where Asif and his mother used to sleep. "He's sleeping there," then added before disappearing, "After you finish your task, hold the imperial pendant in your hand and stomp your left foot 3 times. I'll come to you." Asif was pulled towards the room, and when he glanced through the window, he found his father sleeping on the bed, embracing the same white pillow Jumana had given him years ago. "I feel like I can't do it," he whispered. "How will I bear his gaze as I kill him?" The wise one said, "You don't have to look him in the eye." "What do you mean?" he asked, his mind scattered. The northerner whispered, explaining, "The wise one means you should finish him off while he's asleep. But he's my father. How do you expect me to kill him while he's sleeping?" The wise one asked, "Is it more righteous to kill him while he's awake?" After moments of silence, the northerner spoke in support. "Perhaps the wise one is right. Kill him while he's asleep and avoid half the difficulty of the task." He preferred not to kill his father using his own strength, so he reached for the northerner's sword, drawing it from its sheath while muttering like a drunkard. "Kill him while he's asleep and avoid half the difficulty of the task." He cautiously opened the room's door, and everyone followed him to support him in his upcoming task, though Sarabi chose to wait outside and not enter the room because, as she said, she couldn't bear to see Asif. With them killing his father, they muffled their footsteps like 4 ants planning to steal scattered sugar grains on kitchen tiles. And when Asif finally stood near his father, he felt too weak to do it and thought of withdrawing, but then remembered that death would be the fate of him and his friends if he withdrew. He raised the sword high using both hands, but before he could kill his father, he heard a spectral voice pleading with him, "Please don't do it." The friends held their breath as they walked one after the other on. He was sure that the voice he just heard was his mother Jumanis. He looked right and left, searching for her in the corners of the room, and when he found no trace of her, he whispered longingly, "Mother, why did you stop?" whispered the wise one. "The voice," said Asif, his mind wandering. The northerner asked, "What voice? Didn't you hear the pleading voice?" The wise one whispered impatiently, "We didn't hear anything. Hurry up and finish your task before your father wakes up." "I heard it," said Akhlil. "Please don't do it. You see, I was sure." The northerner said, "It seems you're imagining things." Asif protested. "A crown like me listened to him. Didn't you say that your fate had become tied to the fate of the crown?" Asif nodded his head, and the northerner said, "Perhaps that's why he was able to hear the illusion that you heard." He returned to raise the sword high again with both hands after being convinced. He hesitated, staring at his father, and waited for a while before bringing the sword down on him and killing him, as if he wanted that wait to hear his mother's gentle voice once more. The sage whispered, "Come on, Asif, what are you waiting for?" "I feel like I can't do it, asterisk asterisk," he said, still holding the sword high. Then, at that exact moment, someone else in the room spoke. But this time it wasn't an illusion. Everyone heard the voice saying, "Do it, my son." It was Bahar.